Hi, my name is Nikki, and I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about a book that I just read and a little bit more about something. I truly believe that this book should be read by everyone. Whether you eat meat, whether you don't eat meat, if you care about the environment, if you care about the abuse that is happening, if you care about ending cruelty, and I could stay here forever listing things, but basically I think that this book should be read by everyone. And the book that I'm referring to you is Slaughterhouse. Now, why should you read this book? The reason why you should read this book is, one, it is loaded with information. It is completely put together in such a way that provides you information on what's going on. You can either make your decisions based on it or not. This is not a book that's going to pressure anyone to, for example, go vegan. Although you would like to think that after reading this book, you would consider your habits and what you're putting inside your bodies. But at least it's a complete book full of information, and I think it's a crucial book for you to read. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about some of this, what's inside the book. One being is that if I could get everyone to read one chapter in this book, it would be one of these chapters that I think that most people would be able to relate to, is the chapter of their parents who have had to take their kids to hospitals because their kids had eaten tainted meat. Some kids have died from eating the tainted meat, and other kids have had to spend way over a year inside of the hospital without being able to leave, just recovering. And that's pretty intense, just for eating one time tainted meat. It's amazing that it doesn't happen more frequently, because when you read this book and you see just the procedure of what's happening and how they treat the animals and the extent of it that it happens, you would be surprised that more people don't get sick from toxic meat and meat that's not good. What I love about this book is that it's put together in such a way that you can read it. It is horrific. I'm not gonna lie. This book, it's gonna open doors and open windows, and it's gonna open Pandora's box kind of thing, because the horror that happens in slaughterhouses is unbelievable. And it's not because it's not being reported that it doesn't happen in your own cities and where you live. Because this happens everywhere. In my city alone, the slaughterhouse kills 10,000 pigs a day. So you can only imagine the pressure to constantly get those many pigs up, those many pigs killed. That's a lot of pigs to be killed. And whatever slaughterhouse, they have their quotas, but generally speaking, it happens in all slaughterhouses. It's not just, I'm gonna skip and go to another area, and then I'll get back to this. But it's just as hazardous and as deadly and as horrible as it is for the animals that have to endure this. It's awful and horrible for humans as well. Just like the fellow animals that they're killing, humans too get used and abused in slaughterhouses. Workers cannot speak up because if they do, they become afraid that they might lose their jobs, or they might get put to some other job even worse than what they had before. And the hazards that it happens towards people is unbelievable. There was one worker in here that he started working, and the first day he lost a finger. And there another story of another lady who she was having problems. She was a lady that used to, cut up the meat, and she asked her boss, like, can I get something else, please? Like, my hands cannot take this anymore, pretty much. And the boss said no. So she had to stay there with her crippling hands, and she was forced to cut meat. She kept cutting the meat. Her hands were like, came to a point where she could barely hold the knife anymore, and she was still there having to hack away at the meat. Finally, at some point in time, the boss said okay and gave her a different job, basically picking up trash, which was no better for her because her hands basically couldn't do much. So this is just one of the examples of how hazardous it is to people. And then there was this other lady. She went to her boss, and she had a terrible headache. She simply wanted to, ask if she could leave for the day. And the boss said no. This particular story did not have a happy ending. A few minutes later, after she got back to the floor to continue her job, she dropped down to the floor. She died, and apparently she had blood coming out of her eyes, her nose, etc. Not a happy story. And obviously there is no happy ending for the animals. And, I know that a lot of this part, maybe people will stop, and I get it, but it doesn't stop that this is happening. And you need to be aware. That's why if you can at least pick up this book and read it, it will definitely help out that way. But basically, people get very upset over the situation in China where dogs are being skinned alive, where they're being boiled alive, and all the torture that goes on there. No doubt that's horrific, and no doubt that my heart also feels for those animals in those countries that are doing those horrific things. I have always been a dog lover, so this has always been something that has pulled to my heart. But we are doing the same things to pigs, to chickens, to turkeys, to cows. The list goes on. I know that this isn't going to sound pleasant. Who wants to hear it? But it has to be said. Cows are being skinned alive. Cows are being hacked alive. Cows and pigs, they're having these horrific things done to them while they're still alive. More times than not, chickens go into the scalding tanks alive. Pigs go into the scalding tanks alive, fully conscious, fully there. Stories of cows being having their skins taken off, and them looking towards the worker and simply moving. So basically, this is happening. In every slaughterhouse has its quota. So you just think about that. My city has 10,000 pigs killed a day. To keep up with the demand, you can't make sure that all, some pigs will go, not get what's supposed to be the stunning process. But even so, the stunning process is not what you would think. Because here's the thing. Dead animals do not bleed out the same way as an alive animal does. So these animals, they're bleeding to death, or they're being skinned alive, and a lot of this process is they are conscious. The stun guns are set at a certain voltage, and it usually is not at the highest levels because that would kill them. So they have to keep it on lower voltages so that when they stick them, these animals will bleed out properly. And all it is because of the quality of meat. So, I know who wants to think about that. But you need to think about that because we're funding that. I know I took part of this eating meat, in my lifetime too. I'm not putting myself any holier than anyone else, but I'm just trying to help make people a little bit aware of what's going on. So, check this book out. Get it, read it, share it. Think about going on a vegan diet. Think about eliminating meat. Just think about it, okay? I'm not gonna go around condemning people because they eat meat. I'm just trying to be the vessel to fill out and to share the information of what's happening to our fellow creatures, to our fellow planet. And, we can make a difference, but you need to get out there and you need to start changing things. And one of the ways that you can do so is by changing your diet and going vegan. Oh, and one more thing before I finish off. A lot of people like to say, well, I eat organic. It's not factory farm. That's all nice and dandy, and maybe it's better for you. I don't know. But but one thing I have to say, no matter whether they are organic or a non-organic animal, how they're treated in their lifetime, they all end up in the same facilities. And if a facility is killing 10,000 pigs a day, do you really think that the workers are going to stop and say, oh, this guy is an organic pig. Oh, okay, we're going to give it nice hugs and cuddles before we slaughter it. It's not going to happen. The same treatment happens to every single animal. Whether they're organic, whether they're not organic, it doesn't matter. I see smaller trucks all the time doing vigils going to these slaughterhouses, so I know. There's not a separate slaughterhouse for organic animals. They all end up in the same place. Just some more food for thought. Okay, I'm done. This has gone on too long. Thanks if you watched this. Sorry if I rambled on, but I think that people need to know what's going on, and this book is a really good window to that.